Maybe say that as an aside instead of saying it publicly?
You mean my accusations about the commissioner?
Sure.
I think this is a very serious issue, Roy, that should not stay within the institution of the PGA Tour. I think it's important that it's brought out before the face of the American public, right?
Mm-hmm.
I made some statements on the commissioner, and I still hold to my rights to believe that that's exactly, he lives up to the names that I've called him.
What galls you most about Dean Beeman? What really boils your blood?
I can answer in a very simple sentence. The bureaucracy of the PGA Tour waves around an iron fist in the face of the players. They don't have the human quality. They don't have the compassion and care for the players as much as I think they should have, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, you're not the only one who's made some statements critical of Dean Beeman. Apparently, you're the only one who's being fined for it. But Peter Jacobson, a fellow golfer, a very outspoken, irreverent golfer at times, came up with this quote, and we'll take a look at it. He said, Dean wants to be the Pete Rozelle or Peter Ueberroth of golf, the czar of the sport. Golf is such an individual sport. We don't need a czar or anyone to dictate the rules. Dean just can't run around and impose levies and fines. Now, Peter was not fined for saying that, right?
No, this article was presented in a paper up in Oregon. A writer named Steve Doohan. He sent these copies to my home, my residence recently. And I think, I must bring the attention to the people that Peter worked with the policy board of the PGA Tour in making decisions. And Peter just recently, his time was over as far as serving on the board. And this is a very powerful statement. He's called Dean a czar, and it's something exactly what I have said. And
well, you called him a Hitler now. That's a little different than a czar.
Well, my connotation of calling him a Hitler was not so much as a mass murderer. It was more or less of a dictatorship and a rule of the people, an oppression set in.
Mm-hmm. Bob Gilder, who holed out a shot a few years ago to win a golf tournament, that's not important, but the important thing is he is also on the tour and also critical of Dean Beeman. He said this: they want our gripes in-house. I think a person has the right to say anything he wants about another person if the guy works for him, and certainly the commissioner works for the players. There are some rules that need to be changed about the latitude the commissioner has in fining people. Now, this brings the issue to hand. If you lose this appeal and you are, in fact, fined $5,000, the money isn't as significant as the length of suspension. 6 tournaments could force you back into having to qualify for the PGA Tour. You wouldn't want to have to do that.
No, I don't think it will come to that. I must tell you that I believe you've got to have rules and you've got to have a system. And the only thing I just dislike is the fact that the commissioner has shown an arbitrary and capricious application of the rules, and I think I have been singled out like Ballesteros. He denies it, but I think differently.
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a few moments. This is not necessarily what I feel, but what the guy at home might be saying. Who the hell is Mac O'Grady, a guy who really hasn't been on top of the tour, anywhere near the top of the tour, hasn't ever won anything that matters, getting off criticizing the commissioner of golf, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Tom Watson, the great players? They've kept quiet. Even the marginal players have kept quiet. Why Mac O'Grady? Why does he have to annoy me with his criticisms of Dean Beeman?
You see, Roy, it basically just comes down to that yellow brick road of freedom that our forefathers fought and struggled for. Okay? They left the oppression of Europe to believe in a better land. Okay, I don't think that the rules of the bureaucracy of the PGA Tour are fair. They're very inconsistent. And I think that our commissioner has not shown the proper leadership like our great forefathers tried to construct. I happen to be in a position where I believe that I don't play the game for money. I play just for the pure performance. And unlike some of the other athletes, I absolutely believe with total conviction that as a member of the PGA Tour, it's important. But as a member of this country, it's more important than being a member of the tour. And for me to defend my right of freedom of expression, I think it's worth struggling for and fighting for.
There are many faces to Phil McGlenow, Mac O'Grady. Well, first of all, we'll find out why he changed his name. We'll come back in just a few moments. We'll also talk about the many different aspects, many different sides to Mac O'Grady. We'll come back after this. Like any athlete you probably have ever met, doesn't speak like any athlete you've ever met, certainly any golfer you've ever met. Once said of golf, Golf is paradoxical, a paradoxical, incoherent discordancy whose incongruous personality shatters one's dreams like the north wind. Mac O'Grady is our guest on Sports Look. Why are you different, do you suppose?
Oh, I don't know. It's just like it's like one's sinews of character as they develop and grow in the branches of a tree. I just know that I think my whole personality, my whole development really grew around taking the Greyhound buses across country for 10 or 11 years in pursuit of my American dream.
Took you 17 attempts to make the PGA Tour, 11 years. Mm-hmm. Why bother?
Why bother? I don't know. It's a funny thing. It's like a lot of people in life and in our society, whether it's an athlete or a bricklayer. It's the only thing I do. And I love sports. I've always been associated with sports. I've followed the jockocracy for so many years, and now to have finally become my, so to say, my dream of being an athlete is really special to both me and my wife, Fumiko.
We'll talk about Fumiko in just a little bit later, but there were a lot of changes. One of them was your name change itself. Now, I don't know if you believe in numerology, but it seemed like once you changed your name from Phil McGleno to Mac O'Grady, golf started to come a little easier to you. Do you think there was something to that, something to the karma, Mac?
Well, there's a couple of reasons why I had changed my name. I did a thing with CBS a few years ago and told them I had changed my name because I was afraid the commissioner wouldn't accept my application anymore. It was qualifying school, right? But there was a little more of a serious note to it. I came from an Irish Catholic family, and we moved from Minneapolis out to Southern California in the early 60s, and there was just problems within the family, and my mother died when I was about 15 years old, and I had a great relationship with her. And I just felt that because I wasn't very close to my family very well, and I have a twin sister I'm close to, and an older sister, but I just felt that that name, Phil McGleno, was time to change something. And I changed it to O'Grady, what was my mother's maiden name, and my friend Bob McClellan, that's where the name Mac comes from, said to me, I don't want you to change your name to Philip McClellan, but please to Mac O'Grady, and let O'Grady, the rest of your life, be a tribute to your great love you had for your mother. That's certainly what has taken place.
There is an element to the curious, I think, to having Mac O'Grady on a show like this. You haven't done a lot of endorsements. In fact, no endorsements. Right. You don't do banquets. You're not doing this for the money. You're doing this sport, obviously, for the love of it and the fact that you like the lifestyle. But there is a freak show, quality to the Mac O'Grady story. Let's get this guy on to talk about how he changed his name and how he's into Zen Buddhism and how he's married to a Japanese girl. You resent that a little bit, the fact that people look at you as being an oddball.
Oh, I don't know. You got to be a little odd to pursue your American dream for 11 or 12 years like I did. You're always an oddball, and I think we live in Southern California. But no, I don't resent it. I mean, people are going to say what they have to say. I know when they have a chance to meet me and know me that I'm not the type of guy who is arrogant and ostentatious or overly arrogant about things.
If you were commissioner, Mac O'Grady, quickly, your quick observations on what you would change and your thoughts on how you would change it where Dean Beeman has failed.
Right. Oh, just simply, I would allow the players the right to go ahead and speak what's on their mind, because you have a chance to, there's stagnation on the tour now. You're afraid to say anything, to do anything.
Now I have to interrupt you for a second. Why golf? This is a sport of tradition. This is a sport that maintains, that holds back. Right. You're a dreamer, you're a doer, you're somebody who likes to create. Why this sport? That seems incongruous to me.
Well, anytime you're dealing with anything that requires an artistic expression, the soul is involved, and anytime the soul is stifled and doesn't have its avenues of free expression, they're worth defending. Okay.
Mac O'Grady is our guest on Sports. We'll return in just a few moments. We'll talk about his Japanese wife, how she changed his life, and how she continues to change his life. We'll also discuss his philosophies, some Japanese philosophies that he applies to golf. Mac O'Grady, our guest after this. Seriously, it's no fun. And if you do take it seriously, it'll break your heart. Mac O'Grady is our guest on Sports. Look, Fumiko, your wife now, who you met on a golf course a few years ago, helped to change your life and change your philosophy on golf, philosophy of life in general. How?
just typical of the Japanese tradition and the culture. They're very sincere people, very much concerned about integrity. She simply just was able to bring back my soul within me again and give me back my self-respect and my dignity.
Once quoted as saying, "I've never known such love about her since my mother had died. I don't mean the roses and perfume kind of love. Sometimes I think of Fumiko at high noon on a golf course, and tears of joy well up inside me. I'd be lost without her. I would be nothing without her."
It's a very special thing in life to have loved somebody as much as life itself. And it's very hard for me to describe. Even now, I think of her and I think of all the beauty that she has brought to my life, and I feel I'm the luckiest man in the world.
Would you tell briefly the story of the Tokugawa legend, the legend of Tokugawa, and how that applies to golf?
The Tokugawa legend is a story of three famous shoguns in Japanese culture that lived maybe 150 years apart from each other. The story goes that they teach us to the young children in Japan that these three great rulers stand before a tree, and in the tree is perched a bird. The most brutal and barbarian of the rulers was named Oda. Oda looked at the bird and said, "See that bird in the tree?" He said, "That bird, I'm going to capture that bird and I'm going to force that bird to sing. And if the bird doesn't sing, I'm going to kill it." Okay? Toyotomi said, "You see that bird in the tree? I'm going to capture that bird and I'm going to force it to sing." And then there was the serenity of Tokugawa, patience, teaching patience. He stood before the tree and said, "I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to wait patiently for the bird to sing. Okay? I'm not going to force it to sing and I'm not going to kill the bird. I'm just going to wait patiently for that bird to sing." And this basically has been my development on the golf course, to try to develop that Tokugawa personality. Let the serenity and let things go at the speed that they're going to go to, and hopefully I'll be able to win shortly.
Yet you won't let go the issue of Dean Beam.
Actually, surprising as it may seem, I'm very serene about my stance and my position I've taken, along with my legal counsel, Steve Novak.
We're going to come back to some final thoughts with Mac OGrady after this.
Okay.
My dreams take a road, there's a style in your life no one could ever deny. You're on your way to the top.